Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the ever so wonderful, the ever so amazing, the ever so mind-blowing. Have I hyped it up yet? I think so. The book that we're going to be talking about today is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is a book that I've been avoiding because there is loads of hype surrounding this book and I was afraid that I was going to be that one person that didn't enjoy Throne of Glass. But let me tell you, I freaking loved it! I freaking loved it! If I could marry this book, I would. If you don't know what Throne of Glass is about, basically we follow this girl named Selina. This right here is Selina. Ooh. And she is one of the best assassins in all of the land. But she's been captured and is put to work in the salt mines. Until one day she's given the shot at freedom. Not an easy shot at freedom, one that she's gonna have to work for. If Selina chooses to compete in a tournament, wins, and becomes the king's assassin, and is able to last 4 years being a loyal assassin to the king, she'll be given freedom. So that's basically what Throne of Glass is about. It's such a fantastically written story. The world is so fascinating, the characters are rich and interesting, and I am just so excited for the series and I want it to last forever. Like, I know it's gonna be a 6-book series and that's awesome, but can it just go on forever, please? Can that be a thing that happens? Because I just want more. If you have not read Throne of Glass yet, I suggest you go and read it and then come back and discuss with me because I'm going to be jumping into a spoilery section now because I've got things to talk about. I gotta share my feels with y'all, with those of you who have read this book. So let's jump into the spoilery section, shall we? We shall. Okay, so first let's talk about the characters. I'm just gonna talk about 3 of them. I'm going to be talking about Selina, Kale, and Dorian. So Selina. I just love Selina from the beginning. She's such an amazing kick booty butt, where did I come up with that? We'll go with it. She's just such a kick booty butt character. Like, she just kicks butt, guys. She just kicks butt. There's just such character development with Selina. Like, she just starts off in this book being very angsty and just frustrated and mad at the world for good reason. She has a great reason for being mad at the world, but it's just nice because you just see her transform throughout this book and she lets her guard down and lets people into her life and just such a fascinating, complex character, and I loved her. Loved her so much. One of the things that stuck out to me in this book is that there is this sort of love triangle that kind of develops, but it's not a terrible one. I've read books where there's a love triangle and it's just such a massive turnoff for me because of the way it's written. And with Throne of Glass, the story does not rely on the love triangle. Like, the story isn't built around the love triangle. There are so many other things happening. It was just such a breath of fresh air reading Throne of Glass and having this triangle, love triangle, that's just not the main focus of the story. Like, Selina is fine without any love interest. Like, she can hold her own. With that being said, I'm Team Kale. I don't know about y'all, but I prefer Selina with Kale. I feel like Kale just makes her better, and I don't necessarily hate Dorian. He's just, if it comes down to it, I'm just going with Team Kale and Selina. Like, that's just my ship. I ship it. What would their ship name be, by the way? Would it be like Kale-lina? Kale-lina? Selina? I don't know. What's their ship name? Let me know down below, because I have no idea what their ship name is. Kale really reminded me of 4 from Divergent, and I'm not sure if it's just because he was like training Selina and like was helping her throughout this whole experience, but there were just aspects of him that like brought me back to reading the Divergent series and 4 and Triss, and it was just weird. It was weird, but it was different though. Like, Kale is not 4, but they have similar qualities. I'm just not sure how I feel about Dorian yet. Like, there's nothing I can really say bad about him, but I just prefer Selina with Kale. It's just, I am a bit nervous about Selina and Dorian's relationship in the next few books though, because she just broke off ties with him, and I feel like it's going to affect their friendship in a negative way, possibly, in the next few books. I don't know. Obviously, I need to keep reading the next few books because I need to know what happens. I gotta know what happens. What's gonna happen with all these different relationships and such. I need to know. Okay, now let's talk about the plot. I just love how cranky and angsty Selina is when we're first introduced to her in the beginning of the book. I just love that she wasn't even fazed by the fact that Dorian is a prince. She's just like, screw him, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna be angry and angsty, and it was just wonderful, and I just loved that aspect of her. I loved that you just are introduced to her in such a way where you're just like, whoa, what's this girl's deal? And then throughout the book you kind of understand why she acts the way she does. I love that she wasn't afraid to rub in the fact that she was able to escape the salt mines for a period of time. Most people aren't even able to make it 3 feet without being shot and killed, and Selina had made it like 363 feet before even getting caught. But you really begin to realize how cruel Dorian's father must be when you find out instead of just like killing her off for her escape attempt, he decides to torture her by leaving her in the mines and just having her die that way. Oh, what a grand and wonderful king he must be. I believe it's the first morning of the training, but we have this fantastic interaction between Cain, Kale, and Selina. "Good morning," he said, his voice raspy and deep. His dark eyes snaked along her body, then found her face again. "I'd have thought you'd be running home by now." She gave him a closed-lipped smile. "The fun's just starting, isn't it?" Cain returned her smile and stalked off. It would have been so easy to whirl and grab him by the neck and slam his face into the ground. She didn't even realize she was trembling with rage until Kale stepped into her line of vision. "Save it for the competition," he said softly, but not weakly. "I'm going to kill him," she breathed. "No, you're not. If you want to shut him up, then beat him. He's just a brute from the king's army. Don't waste your strength on hating him." She rolled her eyes. "Thank you so much for interfering on my behalf. You don't need me to rescue you. It still would have been nice. You can fight your own battles." I think this is one of the reasons why I respect Kale so much and just think so highly of him, is that he doesn't look at Selina and just think she's weak just because she's a girl. Like, he looks at her and he knows all that she's capable of, and he believes in her, and he wants her to be the best that she can be. And so he doesn't go easy on her during training or anything like that, because he only wants her to get better and improve and just become the best that she can be. And you can really tell that Kale is just rooting for her and wanting for her to win. It was really interesting getting a look into how both Selina and Kale were trained growing up. We have Selina, who has to smash a door on her right hand in order to better her swordplay in her left hand. Like, what? And then we have Kale, who trained as an apprentice, and I'm pretty dang sure he didn't have to go through anything that brutal. It was interesting just to kind of see the differences in how they were raised. So the first test that Selina has to go through throughout this competition is archery, and I was a little bit disappointed with this one. I was like, just expecting the test to be just like these amazing, crazy things that they have to do, like jumping off buildings and jumping off trains. I guess I was just thinking about like Divergent or something. But then when I really thought about it, the king is looking for people who are skilled in all these different things, and so they're not going to be the most thrilling tests ever. Throughout this book, we get little insights as to what Selina's life was like before this whole competition ordeal. I just can't believe how brutal they were to her in Endeavor. I don't know if that's how you say it, Endeavor, but like the first night she gets there, she's drug out into the middle of the camp and is struck 21 times. And then the lady who brings her some like medicine is raped and killed. Like, what? I'm assuming we get lots more information about Selina's past in the Assassin's Blade, because I really need to know who this Sam guy is and why he's affecting her emotionally and such, because I'm curious. Like, obviously they had like a relationship or something, so hopefully we find out more about that in Assassin's Blade. I really need to read that book like yesterday. Okay, the second test was loads more exciting than the first test. This was what I was wanting. Climb up the castle 90 feet in the air to grab a flag. I was just imagining the whole time this faraway view of the castle and these little figures climbing up it. It was so awesome in my head. I always love when characters showcase moments of selflessness, and we have this great moment where Nox is falling off the castle, and Selina doesn't even second guess saving him. She just jumps and goes for it. I just love when we have those moments in books, because I think it's important for us to see that kind of stuff in books, like acts of selflessness, because we're selfish people. We are very selfish people. So it's nice reading books like that and just having the act of selflessness being brought to our attention, because we need to work acts of selflessness into our everyday lives, and that was just really nice to see. One thing that I respect so much about Sarah J. Maas is that she doesn't shy away from how brutal and gory things can get in this world. For example, Xavier's murder. Xavier's chest cavity had been split open and his vital organs removed. Unless someone had moved them upon finding the body, there was no trace of them, and his long face, stripped of its flesh, was still contorted in a silent scream. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It's so brutal and so terrifying and scary, but I freaking love it. I love that she's just like, yep, well, this is what happened, so I'm gonna write it. Okay, so did any of you guys guess who was committing all these murders? Because for me, I wasn't thinking it was Cain. Like, I didn't want it to be Cain because I just felt like that was kind of the obvious choice as to who the murderer was. but I was kind of hoping it wasn't because of how obvious she was making it. I was like, okay, so she's making it blatantly obvious that it's Cain, so it must be somebody else. So I was pointing my fingers at like, maybe Nahima, is that how you say her name, Nahima? Or maybe it was Kale, who knows, maybe it was Dorian, ooh, or maybe it was just the king himself, but then it was pointed out that Cain was the murderer, and I was like, okay, it makes sense that he's the murderer, but I wish somebody else would have been the murderer because it was just so obvious that Cain was the murderer. Like, I wish that there would have been a plot twist there, but it's whatever, it's whatever. So for the third test, each competitor is giving a sparring partner, and if they win, they don't get eliminated, but if they lose, the losers face the judgment of Brullo. Mwahahaha. What? This was by far, I think, one of my favorite scenes throughout the whole book because everybody's just underestimating Selina's capability of being basically a warrior. Let's just admit it. Selina is a warrior and everybody was just like, nope, she's not capable of doing this. And then she just kicks Varen's butt. Like, she just kicks it so hard. She's like, look at me now, suckers. As he staggered back, her leg came up and Varen's eyes bulged as her foot slammed into his chest. The kick sent him flying and his body crunched as it hit the floor and slid out of the ring, instantly eliminating him. The hall was utterly silent. Mock me again, she spat at Varen, and I'll do that with my sword the next time. She turned from him and found Brullo's face slack. Here's a lesson for you, weapons master, she said, stalking past him. Give me real men to fight. Then maybe I'll bother trying. Oh snap! Oh snap! Selina being a bad A. Being a freaking bad A. I freaking love Selina! Like, how can you not love Selina after dialogue like that? Just so good! So good. So the next test, they had to identify 7 poisons in 7 goblets. I think that this would definitely be the challenge that I just flat out failed. Like, how the heck are you able to tell if there's poison in a drink? That is just not a skill that I will ever have. I don't know how people are able to like look at a drink and just be like, oh yeah, this one doesn't have poison. For me, it would just be like, dead. So I found it interesting that the test after this one was canceled because Selina convinced Nox to leave and then the test got canceled when normally, like, if one of the competitors was murdered, they didn't even cancel the test. So why did they cancel the test when Nox left? Like, that just seemed kind of weird to me. I felt like the battle between Cain and Selina, while it was epic and amazing and just so cool, but also just terrible because Cain's like bringing back all these terrible memories from Selina's like childhood and such. I felt like it dragged on quite a bit. Like, it was unnecessarily long. Also, it didn't help that I was a little bit confused through some of the battle, but I still, like, it still was awesome. I was just a little bit confused as to what was going on, what was happening. It was just weird. It was the weirdest battle I think I've ever read, but it was awesome at the same time. Just a little bit long. Just a little bit long. So that's all I really have to say about Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I freaking love this book. Really looking forward to seeing where the story goes, where the series goes. I think it's just gonna get even better and better. I've heard the sequel is just even more better than Throne of Glass, so I'm really looking forward to reading that and continuing on with the series. So let me know down below what you thought of Throne of Glass, what your favorite moment was throughout this book. If there was a moment that I didn't touch on or anything and you want to talk about it in the comments, let's talk about it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Later!